that you've invited us.
So I think what the way Ed explained it to me is that we will.
Guys, we're starting in 1 minute.
Okay, thanks, Dorina. Dorina, we had a question. Maybe you can answer for us. Tomide and the other presenters, the other startups, how will they'll be invited in to join, or should they wait in the meeting?
One by one, and so we are already live, so session.
Okay. All right. Thank you all very much for joining. My name is Michael Rosen, and I am an attorney in the Tel Aviv office of Kobre and Kim, which is a global law firm. And it's a pleasure to be presenting to you today on the topic of human-machine interface. And in this panel today, we're going to explore cutting-edge ideas and technology at the intersection of software and the automotive world. Now, perhaps the best-known example of a pioneering automotive company in this field is Tesla, whose autopilot and other technologies have, of course, become world famous. In fact, Tesla is often referred to as a software company masquerading as a car maker. But before Tesla became Tesla, the $500 billion market cap behemoth that we all know and mostly love, it was a startup taking on some of the largest companies in the world. And even though it was backed by Elon Musk, industry giants, Toyota and others, in many ways laughed at or scoffed at its potential to really succeed and thrive in the automotive world. Well, I guess we could say now, right? Clearly, they have come a very long way. And at this point, I think it's clear to all that even a company, a startup company of the nature of something like Tesla, can really challenge and get into this realm in a really significant way. And this is I think really something we're going to be learning about on our panel today when we have a group of really distinguished investors and members of the industry who can really comment helpfully on what trends are happening, where we're going, and help maybe identify and find the next Tesla. We're also going to be hearing from companies who are going to present, and it could be that among those we're going to find the next Tesla there too. Now, this is also the kind of work that we do at Kobre and Kim, where we specialize in helping Israeli and European technology companies, especially startups, enforce their rights against some of the biggest giants in the industry. And this includes situations where multinationals infringe these smaller companies' patents, misappropriate their trade secrets, or breach non-disclosure agreements. And along with our colleagues in our offices in the US, Asia, and Europe, we help startups with great ideas ensure that they too can become the next Tesla. And to do this, we also provide innovative financial arrangements, including investment from third-party litigation funders. We'd be happy to speak with anybody interested. Now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our panelists. And I'll just read out their names and affiliations briefly, but they can take a minute, please, to just briefly introduce yourselves, and then we'll jump in with some questions. So our panelists, in no particular order, are Ian Kendall, the head of Infotainment, Connected Car, and UX at Italdesign from Italy. We have with us Michael Frankel, technology researcher at BMW in Israel. Christophe Cazes, the Group Innovation Director at Novares in France. And Ryan Mahone, the Mobility Portfolio Manager at Ibex Investors in the US. And last but not least, Uri Pachter, the Managing Director at Parisia Security Technologies here in Israel. So why don't we start, and we'll go in that order with Ian, then Michael, and Christophe, and Ryan, and then Uri. So please,
Hi,
Ian, go
everybody.
ahead.
So yeah, I'm Ian. I've been 20 years now with the Volkswagen Group, and its a big array of brands. So actually, Italdesign is one of the sister companies of Audi. For those 20 years, the first 15 were at Bentley, where I was in charge of infotainment there, working again across all the other brands of the Volkswagen Group. Obviously, that's my home country in the UK. Then I had 4 years working in Silicon Valley at the research lab of the group, which was really cool. And that's where I had most of my experience with stuff.
Great.
Production.
All right. Thank you, Ian. Oh, I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
I'm sorry, you cut out. Yes, please
Okay.
keep going.
So yeah, so I was 4 years in the US working in research with many startups, but now very much on the coalface in Italdesign, where we work on a lot of serious projects, serious development projects, hardware and software. But Italdesign is an interesting company because it also has a business in what we call small series. So customers who wish to make maybe just 5 or 6 cars, a very special kind of cars. And we also do quite a number of prototypes and show cars on a one-off basis, where we definitely get to showcase some really cool HMI topics. So our approach is really partnership. We don't acquire startups. We don't invest in startups directly. Of course, the group on a wider basis does. Italdesign doesn't do that. We're a service company. So we look to appropriate partnerships with startups that can help us with technology solutions to serve our customers with innovative ideas. In terms of an example, I'm going to give one from my last role in America because it was such a cool project. Working for Bentley over there, we did a project that we called Filled for Bentley. In the US, they have a lot of startups that were trying to get into the business of delivering fuel to customers' houses and filling their car up while they're at home or while they're at work. And we partnered with one of those to connect the car. So the startup called Filled knew where the car was, could open the fuel flap remotely, and obviously knew when it was low on fuel and needed fuel. So we were able to provide a really hands-free service for anybody that was lucky enough to try one of these special cars. We ran a 10-car trial, and they got their fuel when they needed it without having to do anything and just got the invoice by email. So that was a pretty cool project and how it can work, bringing together different partners. So thank you. I look forward to the rest of the discussion.
Great, thank you, Ian. Michael, do you want to introduce
yourself? Hello, everybody,
please?
And thanks for having me here. My name is Michael Frankel from BMW Tech Office in Israel, Tel Aviv. We are part of the corporate research in BMW. And specifically, our office here is a both research and scouting office for Israeli and not just Israeli automotive tech startups. For example, we can mention Autonomo and Tactile, 2 local startups that we are cooperating with lately. We also running the BMW Startup Garage program in order to onboard startups as part of our strategy for innovation, where we are looking for the best possible solutions, and in case we find it in startup, we have our own onboarding procedure as part of the BMW Startup Garage, which is something that basically increases the probability that in the end we'll have a successful POC and hopefully successful nomination, etc. Prior joining BMW, I was a software team manager at Mobileye, and even before that, I worked on different topics around maps and navigation for avionics, HMIs in Elbit system, which is a corporation here in Israel.
Great. Thank you very much, Michael.
Yes, so I started my career almost 25 years ago at Group PSA. I designed and I've been an architect for two cars, the Peugeot 307 and the Citroën C4, sorry. And after that experience, after almost 7 years, I left this nice car maker to join the world of suppliers, automotive suppliers. And I occupy different, I would say, positions, always in innovation or R&D, in companies such as Gestamp, Faurecia, my previous one, and today Novares. So during all these times, I had the great advantage to, I would say, to follow some people within some customers and to have great collaborations with different car makers worldwide. And then it appears step by step that we have all a huge complementarity between what we have to do and we can do and we can innovate, we can create. And then it appears clearly that open innovation is something really important, I would say, to bring some fresh blood inside this, I would say, collaborations between BMW or Bentley and companies like Faurecia. And then it's very important, I would say, to be able to scout the right startups and to work with them, to go beyond POCs, not to just pay for a POC 50K and then you make something that they have done already, but not to create with these startups something new for you, your company as a supplier, for the car maker and for the startups. It should be a win-win-win, I would say, solution. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Christophe. Ryan, I think you're up next.
Thanks. Can everyone hear me? Okay, great. Ryan Mann, Portfolio Manager of the Mobility Revolution Fund at IBEX. I joined there about 15 months ago, and prior to that, I did banking, semiconductor research, and investments in technology more broadly. Quick background on IBEX. IBEX is a global multi-stage, multi-strategy investment firm with roughly 700 million in AUM. We have offices in Denver, Tel Aviv, and New York. As I mentioned, we have a couple of different strategies focused on areas that we think are transformational opportunities. Notably mobility, which we think is going to be the biggest technological revolution of our lifetime. Israel is another strategy that we have where we see a lot of innovation, notably in the mobility space, but not necessarily a lot of capital paying attention to it. And then we also have microcap and IBEX select strategies. In terms of the types of companies that we invest in, or I guess our focus, we look to both partner and invest in companies. And we have a bit of a unique structure where we actually do invest in both public and private companies. And we have the intention of investing starting through seed stage all the way up through IPO and into the public markets. So we have that crossover capability, which allows us to kind of invest and help along the path. I guess mobility strategy quickly, again, we invest in public and private companies. Our framework is kind of laid out the typical pillars that I think many are familiar with from the perspective of connectivity and sharing, electrification, and autonomy, with the vision that in the future we'll have a fully autonomous fleet of electric vehicles, and that'll transform industries and how consumers live their daily lives, as well as businesses. Yeah, so looking forward to the panel, meeting the startups, and feel free to reach out to me as well if you want to connect, do a one-on-one, or have any questions.
Excellent. Thank
Yes,
you,
hi
Ryan.
everybody. My name is Uri Pachter. I joined Forcia in 2016 as their local scout for technology and innovation. Around 2018, Forcia decided to open a local subsidiary in Israel focused on cybersecurity solutions. Since many of our products are embedded and integrated with electronic sensors, a lot of data coming in, going out. Prior to 2018, basically I was scouting for our four main business groups. The biggest one is the seating solutions. Second one is interior systems. The third one is clean mobility. And our latest business group is the Forcia Clarion Electronics, comprised of three companies that we purchased in the past 2-3 years. Clarion from Hitachi, Coagent, which is a Chinese electronics supplier, and Parrot Automotive, which is a French supplier. Currently, I am both doing the scouting and heading the tech platform in Israel, and also managing the cybersecurity operations. At the moment, we're mainly focused on providing cybersecurity solutions to our different business groups. And I'll be happy to share more information later on in the panel.
Wonderful. Thank you all. So let's jump right in. And I wanted to start with a question that's a little bit general. We can home in a little more. But what are some of the trends that you're seeing in the automotive field in general, and in particular in the human-machine interface area? And which of these trends do you think are real, legitimate trends, and which do you think might be seen in the media but are maybe a bit overhyped as sort of fads? So I'll throw that open and see if anyone wants to jump in no particular order.
Well, maybe I'll start, as soon as I started the first round. So in my world of infotainment, there's one really interesting trend now, which is the shift towards Android Automotive from Google as the operating system platform for in-vehicle infotainment systems. So Google started with Android Auto, and I think for a while there was a little bit of confusion about what's the difference between Android Auto and Android Automotive. Of course, I'm sure you guys all know, but in the industry in general, that wasn't probably understood, and certainly probably not understood by customers. But now we see the shift really to Android Automotive. There's still, let's say, the jury's still out. I know we're talking to a lawyer, so you'll understand that. The jury is still out on whether we adopt the full Google Services Suite, such as has been done by Polestar and maybe some others, or whether we just use the Android Automotive platform and build our own ecosystem around it. So that's still very much a raging debate, I think. But that's one clear trend for me, is a convergence on an Android Automotive as the core operating system.
Maybe if I can follow up, I see as a big trend all the trend of shy tech and smart surfaces. If we come back 10 years ago, we had an interior full of switches, buttons, knobs, and very small displays. Then you had a move towards huge displays and less knobs and buttons and so on. And then it becomes, I would say, maybe nice, but absolutely not intuitive and absolutely not safe. We spend more and more time to look at the display like a television at your home, and you are not focused on the road. And so now we see, I would say, a movement towards, I would say, a more balanced way where you have some information on the display, some other information which are shared around the surface, which are becoming smart. And then when the surface are becoming smart, you need to to bring the information when it needs to be brought. And so you have, for me, a very huge development, which are the shy tech. You can see some example at BMW, where the information appears when you need. And so it brings a lot in software then, because you can you have some bricks, and then you can activate the bricks when you detect that the customer wants to do something, to anticipate and to make, I would say, our lives really intuitive. And so I see it. I've seen that displays were overhyped, and now this movement where a more decentralized way to spread information is really a big trend, which could create a lot of, I would say, user satisfaction.
If I may jump in, I think that in the past, the driver or the occupants had to basically learn how to operate the car. Today, the car has to understand what are the occupants and the driver's needs and preferences. So personification for me is one of the major ideas, and in that you can add topics like thermal comfort, like postural comfort, like safety, motion sickness solutions that will prevent motion sickness, biosensing, where you want to learn what are the and to understand what are the physiological parameters of the persons that are in the car, and especially the driver, and offer different solutions that will assist and aid in time of need. Also, who is in the car to offer certain services and certain information. So for me, this is something that is major for us under the entire topic of cockpit of the future.
Great. Anyone else have any thoughts on this issue of trends or fads?
Maybe I could be a bit provocative and say, the trend has been in the last 10 years inevitably towards touchscreens as the major interface. And I think about HMI, not just in terms of the information that we receive, but also the information we have to give to the system. It's a two-way process. So the automotive industry understands very well knobs and switches, and in fact, they have a real place. Something like a volume control is more intuitive as a knob than a touchscreen. That's well understood. I think now, after 10 years or more, we understand touchscreens pretty well. But maybe a call to our colleagues in the startup world is what comes next. And you hear the same about smartphones, right? In 10 years, we're not going to be carrying little black rectangles around in our pockets. It's going to be something else. But what is it? What's that interface going to be? And I think from a real far out innovation point of view, that's where we would look. We've got eye tracking, we've got gestures, we've got voice, we've got even they're talking about brain interfaces now. Maybe, who knows? But that's the trend in the future that I'd like to see, is some kind of convergence towards what comes after the touchscreen, this black rectangle.
Great. Well, that's excellent. Thank you. I think these are all important issues. I actually have a number of more questions for you, but in the interest of time, I think we need to bring in our panel, our guests, our startups at this point. And maybe if we have time later, we can circle back to some more of these kinds of questions. So we'll now begin to call up our presenters. And again, the goal here is a 4-minute presentation followed by some Q&A and discussion with the panelists. So I'll just kindly remind the presenters to please try very hard to keep to your 4 minutes, and I will keep you disciplined as the time goes. So our first presenter is Xiong Li, who is the head of product at SciVision, which has developed a 3D augmented reality heads-up display for next-generation vehicles, wherever you look, under any lighting, and for any location. So without any further ado,
thank you very much.
Xiong, take it away.
Okay, can you all see my display?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. So
Yeah.
I'm Shang Li, the head of product for CY Vision, and I'm here to introduce to you our new approach to taking 3D AR technology and bringing it to the automotive environment. What we fundamentally do at CY Vision is we've designed a new way of taking 3D stereoscopic technology and implementing it in heads-up displays. Because fundamentally, as Christopher noted, you have people like big screens, and there's no bigger screen in an automobile than the windshield itself. With our approach to taking 3D AR to the heads-up display market, we're certainly able to, number one, allow people to drive safely even as they're consuming all the content that automotive manufacturers want to provide for them. This is useful both in conventional vehicles and even as autonomous driving and assisted driving technologies come on the market. Primarily because as a driver, I want to know that all those advanced sensors see that oncoming truck. I see that construction equipment on the side of the road. And in turn, I want to know, without looking away from the road, that, hey, my vehicle is going to drive around that stuff. To support initiatives such as Cockpit of the Future, some of the other capabilities we provide with our 3D capabilities are the ability to send images anywhere from half a meter in front of the driver's eye all the way out to infinity. So new in-car virtual assistant experiences where an image pops up even between the driver and the dashboard are possible. And finally, to provide engaging local content, we can overlay that information on the road and over points of interest as the driver drives past them. Now, one key question is, why our particular approach to AR HUDs? And the key development we've implemented is the ability to do full 3D stereoscopic images that track the driver's eye and seat position so that the images on the road, anything from lane markers to pedestrian warnings to the warning about that oncoming truck, all appear in the correct place in space, whatever the driver position, whether it's short or tall, as they tilt their head, as they move around, etc. And we're doing this with a new approach that's focused on using straight existing auto-grade technology, where we take in the inputs from ADAS cameras, LiDARs, radars, etc. We assemble the scene within existing HMI infotainment processors using our proprietary CY Vision software. And we combine that with input from driver monitoring systems to track the driver's head and eye position, all to generate a 3D stereoscopic image through a binocular optic system that's based off of standard freeform relay optics, very familiar to anyone who's building traditional heads-up display technologies. So in short, what we're delivering is a unique stereoscopic 3D approach to very immersive AR HUD technology. We have advantages over other approaches that rely on proprietary hardware. And this is a system that's gone beyond initial prototype phase to completing pilots and in-car testing with OEMs across Europe and Asia. In short, this is what we're delivering, a visually compelling experience that doesn't require special goggles, holographic films, even wedge windshields required by traditional HUDs aren't necessary with our approach. We're doing this with a very lean team based in Istanbul and San Jose, bringing in a lot of experience from InventSense, Microvision, and Qualcomm. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Shang. And in addition to being a great presentation, it was on the dot 4 minutes. So very, very impressive. I'll throw it open now to the panelists for any questions that you might have for Shang.
Hi, Sean.
Go ahead.
Quick, thanks. Quick question: do you require a priori HD map for the localization in the global scene?
Yeah, so that depends on the user and experience requirements of the particular OEM and the tier ones that we work with. So based off of our system, we can pull in navigation information because the #1 application is showing navigation, as well as the input from the various sensors. So fundamentally, this is a way of, depending on how the revenue model of the OEM. So, for example, just as Tesla is engaged, Netflix. If BMW were to engage certain hotel chain manufacturers, you can decide to put their information on the screen if effectively they're funding you. Essentially, all of those information, all those decisions are on you as the platform provider, but what we can do is assemble it and make sure it appears in this right place and space, time, position, etc.
Thank you.
Oh, okay, a quick one from me. When the first generation head-up displays appeared, the big challenge was the physical packaging, fitting them into the car and making sure that all the other legal requirements around viewability and angles and so on was respected. What's your status with that in terms of actually physically installing one of your devices into the vehicle?
Right. So this is one shocking thing, which is we actually require less space than the heads-up displays that are in vehicles today, and all doing so with a much wider field of view and with a very large eye box. So, exact specs, that's a private conversation, certainly, but that's part of the challenge of how can we take the basis of our technology, which comes from Koch University, and apply it to the current systems. So even things like the wedge windshield. Currently, there's like a 3x difference between the windshields, the cost of a windshield for a standard vehicle versus what's necessary for even today's heads-up displays. We don't even require that wedge to avoid ghosting and other optical issues, and that's part of our proprietary optical formula.
Okay, interesting.
Do you foresee some application in production today, or where are you in terms of maturity?
Yeah, where we are is that we have been shipping prototype systems to OEMs and tier ones, which have gone through in-car testing for reliability, image, optical quality, etc. So it's definitely a long production cycle within the automotive market.
Sure.
So we range from customers who are EV startups that are extremely aggressive to essentially the traditional teams with their processes. So everyone's in their product cycle.
Where are you located?
So we're focused in Istanbul to serve the European market, and San Jose to service the American and Asian markets.
Thank you.
And so one of our challenges through COVID is, how do you demo something that's that physical in the system? So one of the ways we've done so is by shipping our systems out along with AR glasses for the engineers, and we've walked real slowly through installation and other processes remotely.
Nice.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Shung. That was terrific, and we wish you lots
of and be here through the network.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Yes, and please feel free to reach out to Shung through the Pine and Axis networks. So our next presenter is Sven Kaufman, and Sven is the CEO of PS Holix, which has built a pseudo-holographic AI-based display for spatial depth viewing without glasses, and as a virtual mirror to enable drivers to see the real distances. So without further ado, Sven, please take it away. Oh, do we have Sven? Maybe we don't have Sven. Okay. Not sure if Sven is waiting to be led into the waiting room, but we'll come back to Sven. Let's go. I actually see that he's appeared on the screen here, Dani Sirkowski. Can you hear us, Dani? Okay, great. So we'll go to Dani, who is the CEO and founder of CarDome with a K, which is a voice user interface that enables you to recognize natural language in acoustically challenging environments. So please go for it, Dani.
Hi guys, I'm Dani, a co-founder and a CEO of CarDome. We are a creator of audio AI technology. I'm sure you know, guys, voice assistants are changing the way we do everything. I personally believe that voice will soon be a dominant interface between humans and machines. Voice assistants create opportunities for unlocking new kinds of experiences. From kitchens to malls, airports to cars, voice-enabled devices are making their way into every imaginable environment. However, the acoustic complexity of many of these environments create a demand for improved speech recognition. Currently, speech recognition performs poorly in scenarios where there is an auditory competition for speakers to be heard and understood. Today's voice user interface system puts the responsibility on the user to create an environment for the technology to work. Let's have a look on a voice control manual provided to Volvo customers, just as an example. It's the same with the other brands as well. For voice control to work in a car, one must avoid background noise, ask others not to speak while a voice command is being issued, and so on and so forth. Understandably, users find themselves frustrated at not being understood by machines, which reduce trust and engagement level. This is how it actually looks in practice. I took this picture in Seoul, a cab with a state-of-the-art voice user interface, and still, the driver is not trusting the voice user interface and typing in the address manually while being engaged for the first minute of the drive entirely with the navigation system instead of keeping the eyes on the road and the hands on the wheel. Cardom is the technology that enables voice user interface to work in a real life, where there are multiple sounds. Our patented software uses the existing microphones in the cabin to isolate individual speech components in the noisy environment with multiple speakers. This is done by applying a location-based clustering of the speech components. That way, our technology creates a perfect condition for a voice user interface apps to work instead of putting the responsibility on the user. Think of the safety. This is a reliable solution that keeps your hands on the wheel and your eyes on the road. Think of user experience, where everyone can interact with the car independently of what the other passengers are doing. Let me show you how Cardom works. You will see two users speaking simultaneously. Our software will process both voices and convert them into independent commands. Please let me down the window. What's on my calendar for today? Please, what is the expected weather for tomorrow? I co-founded Cardom in 2019 together with Dr. Alon Slapak. Cardom was born by years of research in acoustics, signal processing, and machine learning. We have a working prototype, which is ready for a full-scale proof of concept. Our intellectual property is protected by patents. We already collaborate with major players in a voice user interface segment. We were announced as a winner of Hyundai comparative evaluation, which led to a strategic partnership and investment from Hyundai. And recently, we established a strategic partnership also with Amazon, which decided to join Cardom as an investor. Here are some of the examples with relevant players we are working with. We are a software provider. Our software can be implemented either on the edge or in the cloud. To support those implementations, we are flexible with respect to our business model, which can be either embedded software licensing or SaaS.
Danny, sorry to interrupt you,
Cardom
but
is the technology to enable voice user interface to be used in a real world. We are looking for partners that want to enhance the performance of their voice-enabled devices and to enable those devices to work seamlessly in a noisy environment with simultaneous speakers. Thanks a lot for your time, and I hope that I did it on time.
Wonderful. You were close enough, Danny. Thank you. Okay, panelists, what questions do you have for Danny and for Cardom?
I've got one again. Does it require any special configuration of microphones, or is it just generic?
No, we can deal. We are actually almost agnostic to the layout of the microphones that are used. Microphones in a single location or local device is good enough. We don't need any deployment. We do need several microphones in order to apply this source separation algorithm to work, and the number is it's according to N+1 rule. What I mean is, in order to separate n simultaneous speakers, we need at least N+1 microphones.
Got you. Yeah.
I guess quickly on the Amazon partnership, could you talk a little bit about that? Obviously, they have Alexa. I'm just curious how that integrates potentially.
Well, I cannot share much information, but you are right towards the about the segment. Yeah, we are working with them to enable, if you want, to improve Alexa's ears.
Hi, Danny. This is Uri from Foresia. Any effects that due to various accents?
No, completely agnostic to language, accent, who is talking, whether it's a man or a female. What we are actually doing is we are separating or distinguishing between speech signals that were generated in a different location in space. So the system is entirely geometric. Absolutely doesn't matter who is speaking and the accent.
Great, thank you.
And could you distinguish, for example, if we are close to a big crowd with sound coming from outside, could you distinguish the sound coming from inside from the one coming from outside?
We are able to distinguish between inside sounds and outside sounds. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Excellent. I have a question, Donnie, just briefly. Apart from the automotive context and whatever you have under wraps with Amazon, are any other applications where, where this might become relevant?
With the current COVID situations, we are swamped with requests for voice user interface in public places where no one wants to touch anything any longer, and whether in terminals, in malls, in governmental offices. So we actually just deployed a system in a governmental office in Korea for information kiosks that, to interact with people. Actually, it's something that is replacing the touch screen. You address the touch screen issue during the panel. It's not automotive, but and the reasons I guess are different. But yeah, we are experiencing that wave right now.
Great. Wonderful. Well, thank you, Donnie, very much for your presentation, and lots of luck to you. And now we'll call. We'll see if we can get Sven back from PS Holix, which is the pseudo-holographic AI-based display for spatial depth viewing without glasses. So, can we bring Sven in now? Give him a minute.
What?
Okay. Well, Sven, we'll try you again in a little bit then. Next up on our list is Tomide Adesanmi, who is the co-founder and CEO of CircuitMind, which builds AI software. Oh, I'm sorry. We have Sven now. Okay, Tomide, my apologies. We'll come back to you in a minute. Sven, you're up.
So you can see my screen?
Okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So I want.
Next up on our list is
Hello.
Tomide Adesanmi,
Hello.
who is the co-founder and CEO of CircuitMind,
Hello.
which builds
Sven,
AI software.
what happened?
I don't know.
Sorry. We'll come back to you in a minute.
We need Cardone.
Now here.
Who's on
Maybe
now?
have two screens open.
Should I go? It's Ben is here, right? Okay.
Hello. We'll come back to you in just a minute. We'll just give Ben a chance. Sorry. So if you don't mind
Yes,
stepping
it's
out
me
for a
now.
moment.
Yes, it's my. I don't know.
I think
Okay.
then we're good. Sven,
So
take it away. And we utilize you for time for that.
Can I present? Okay. Sven is here. I'm Sven, and I want to show you.
Just a minute. We'll just give Ben a chance. Sorry. So if you don't mind
Yes,
stepping
it's
out
me
for a
now.
moment.
Yes.
I think someone has two windows open, essentially, and they're playing. Someone among the panelists has two windows.
Can I present?
Is that possible?
Okay.
Can you check?
Sven is here. I'm Sven, and I want to show you. There's a delay. I don't know what's going on.
No,
Okay.
it's okay.
Okay, I switched off all my other. Sorry for that.
Good.
Okay,
I think we're
wonderful.
don't hear
So,
the echo anymore.
I want to
Okay, Sven,
introduce you
thank
the
you.
spatial reality display technology for the automotive industry from PS Holix. More than 800,000 blind spot accidents occur each year in the United States. Blind spots are the 5th biggest reason for accidents worldwide. What if this could be prevented? All you need is a spatial mirror display system. The driver sees the real distances, and he gets a more precise view about distance and size of objects in the back of the vehicle. We increase also the viewing angle. The viewing angle is up to 120 degrees because of the reduced transition zones. The PS-Holic software can also be used for head-up displays. The Super Multi-View solution, instead of the head tracking, allows stressless 3D viewing over a longer period of time. 2D and 3D can be shown on the same time on the display, and there's no switching required. There are also low production costs because we only need a thin film as a hardware element. So the benefits of PS-Holic software is a unique super multi-view system in real time. It shows infinite perspectives and therefore floating views. We resolve the accommodation conflict, which is responsible for headache and eye strain. We show a better with a stereo-based extension. The image seems deeper. And there's stressless 3D viewing with the eye autonomy adaptation.
Sven,
all is patented. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I think we're not seeing your presentation anymore.
I didn't change anything. Okay. where did you left?
From the beginning.
No, we hear you, but we don't see your screen if you're sharing something now.
From the beginning. Okay, that is.
Yeah.
Why no one said something?
I'm having technical problems. I apologize for that.
Oh wow! So yeah, I'm just starting my screen. You don't see my screen?
No.
No, we don't. Are you maybe still in backstage mode? Is that possible?
So I went on backstage and then I went on to go live. That's what I did. That's why I'm here. So
right. Well, what in the interest of time, maybe just try to finish up without the benefit of your presentation. We apologize for that.
Okay, no problem. So maybe that's sad because you couldn't see the pictures. So the demo product is ready. The technology can also be used for the A-Days system. And we are experts on the so-called pseudo-holographic display technology. The inventor spent his whole life on digital image processing. He filed his PhD in artificial intelligence, and he's also expert on 2D to 3D conversion. We got a prize last year in Korea from Samsung for the best display technology, and we are looking for a partner to integrate our technology into the automotive sector. I think I will send you the presentation so you can share that.
Great. Thank you, Sven. I guess we have time for two questions. Or one question.
I'll be happy to receive the presentation.
Yes.
Yes, that would be great if you could circulate it. Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I think I found the button. Sorry for that. Yeah, I've never used the system. Sorry for that.
No problem. I think we're all learning how to deal with these different systems. It will be much better to see all your faces in person. So, okay. Well, Sven, thank you very much, and we'll call up our last presenter. So please feel free to enter the room now. Tomide Adesanmi, who is the co-founder and CEO of CircuitMind, which builds AI software technology that enables automotive companies to easily and rapidly build any smart electronics device that can elevate the in-car experience with low risk. And these include connected devices, HMIs, and others. And CircuitMind has raised over $1.5 million in funding so far. So without any further ado, Tomide, if you want to enter now, and I see you're here, please take it away.
Give me 1 second. Let me just try to find the presentation here.
Okay.
Okay, let me just share my entire screen.
Great. We see it now.
Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Great. So my name is Tamide. I'm the co-founder of a company called CircuitMind. And before CircuitMind, I used to build augmented reality display systems for jet fighter pilots at a company called BAE Systems. What we build at CircuitMind is artificial intelligence that helps you design electronic systems. So we all agree here that the future of the automotive industry is connected, electrical and electronic, and some people would even say, no, autonomous. And in the shift to the smart vehicle, we'll need to create a plethora of new electronics hardware, from advanced human machine interfaces to ECUs, power, battery management systems, charging infrastructure, different types of sensors and infotainment systems, etc. And a lot of automotive companies are stuck with a lot of difficult questions about how they can get some of those products to market faster, mitigate project risk, and reduce costs. And so at CircuitMind, we're helping them solve this problem by building artificial intelligence software that itself can build electronics hardware very, very, very quickly. Reduces the time and cost of doing that by about 90%. So we're changing this process of, that engineers use, automotive engineers use to kind of choose different components, connect them together, do simulations, placement, and routing of electronics hardware with this. So with our system, you just specify or describe how you want the electronics in your system to work, click a button, and get the design ready for manufacturing. And that really compresses the time it takes to build, let's say, a sensor that can monitor a passenger's well-being or health in real time and pass it over to some infotainment system. And for our clients, we see a lot of value, a lot of compounded value from so you will accelerate the time to kind of weeks or days of work versus months and months and even years of work in some cases. Mitigate project risk. That your design will be completed the first time right, and you don't have to do a lot of iteration loops. And then better products, because very complex AI is able to optimize for things like the cost of your new hardware, or the power, the size, the reliability. So we're already working with and getting a lot of interest from a lot of great engineering companies. We build connected devices in the IoT space, and are working with some aerospace companies right now, and we're shifting to automotive, kind of talking to some of the players there to kind of start building new electronics hardware for them. We're backed by some of the best VCs and partners in Europe, Google for Startups, episode 1, you can see some of the names here. So, our message to, all the OEMs, tier ones in the automotive industry right now is to say, it's time for you guys to focus on building experiences, not hardware. But you will need to build new, hardware. So let's collaborate by using our software to build things quickly.
Right. Excellent. Thank you very much, Tamide. Okay, let's open up to the panel and see what questions you have.
It's very impressive. It's the software which builds the hardware, no?
Exactly. So we believe in the future, robots will be building more new computers will be building new computers on their own. And that's what we're building.
Very impressive. And which kind of AI are you using?
So we're using a bunch of different things. So that diagram that I showed you that shows all the different stages, those different stages are actually done with different pieces of intelligence. So some it's mathematical algorithms, and some it's kind of convolutional neural networks and stuff like that. Many different algorithms.
Congratulations, very, very impressive.
Thank you.
Quick question on the architectures. Are you building off of a base like ARM or RISC-V, or what's the base layer?
So all of those so what we build is the electronic circuit boards, right? That so like the circuit board in your phone or your on any control panel of the vehicle. So it connects all those chips together. So it can work with ARM chips with ARM architectures. No, it doesn't matter what the chip is like inside.
Understood. Got it.
Great. Anybody else? Okay. Well, thank you, Tamiti. That was excellent. We wish you lots of success. And again, I want to thank all of the presenters, Shung, Sven, Tamide, and Dani, for your excellent presentations. And of course, I also want to thank all of our panelists, Ian, Christophe, Ryan, Uri, and Michael, for your participation in this panel. And we hope you all found it interesting. And we'll move on to whatever's next on the agenda. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Appreciate it.